Kelsey Mitchell isn't the loudest in the room, but when she speaks, the whole league feels it. She's not your average talking head. She's not here for the fluff or the spotlight. She's been grinding in the WNBA since 2018, holding down the Indiana Fever through losing seasons, forgotten rosters, and rebuilds that seemed like they'd never end. She didn't come into the league with fireworks or viral hype. She came in with skill, with grit, with game, and year after year, she's delivered quietly, consistently, without demanding recognition. But now, she's done being quiet. Because in a recent interview that felt more like a reality check than a Q&A, Kelsey Mitchell said something that sent the WNBA world into a tailspin. A sentence so simple, yet so devastatingly loaded.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
That cracked open a conversation the league has been trying to avoid for months. They set her up. She's talking about Caitlin Clark. And just like that, the air changed. Because Kelsey Mitchell didn't come with drama. She came with truth. She came with receipts. She came with protection for a rookie who's being chewed up and spit out by the same system that built her pedestal. Let's be real. Caitlin Clark hasn't just entered the WNBA. She's exploded into it. With record-breaking college numbers, massive viewership, and a fan base that stretches from Des Moines to Dubai, she's been dubbed the savior of women's basketball. But that level of attention, it comes with a price. And Mitchell? She's been watching that price rack up. What she sees is a rookie being propped up as the face of a league, while getting leveled on the court, questioned in the media, and scrutinized by people who've never watched a full game in their lives. The league sold Caitlin Clark to the world. But when it came time to protect her, to actually support her, crickets. That's the setup. Mitchell didn't call out the league by name. She didn't need to. The message was crystal clear. You can't market someone like a queen and then abandon her like a pawn. And she's not just mad for Caitlin's sake. She's mad for the team, for the locker room, for the sisterhood they've built inside the Indiana Fever, while the outside world keeps trying to divide them with headlines, hot takes, and false narratives. Let's pause there, because this is important. The narrative around Caitlin Clark has become its own beast. Every game, every foul, every tweet gets twisted into some larger debate about privilege, race, popularity, or fit. Is she a diva? Is she disliked? Is she too cocky? Too quiet? Too famous? Too white? Meanwhile, inside the Fever's locker room, it's nothing like that. According to Mitchell, it's jokes, trust, group chats, and a shared understanding that they're building something real. Not a super team, not a media darlings entourage, a squad, one that rides for each other regardless of who's on the highlight reel. So when the league lets Clark take hits, literally and figuratively, and doesn't step in, that's not just negligence. That's betrayal. And Mitchell, as a true vet, isn't letting it slide. She knows what it means to feel unsupported. She's been through the losses, the empty arenas, the years where no one even mentioned Indiana when talking about contenders. And now, with a real core taking shape, Clark, Boston, Hull, Berger, it finally feels like the tide is turning. But here's the twist. It's not just Caitlin Clark who's at risk. It's all of them. Because if the league can do this to its biggest star, what chance do the rest of them have? Mitchell's not just defending Caitlin. She's defending the integrity of the game. She's saying, we're not your marketing experiment. We're not here to be picked apart and reshuffled depending on what sells. We're a team, a real one. And if you want us to succeed, you better stop setting us up to fail. And you can tell this wasn't just a PR move. This wasn't some pre-approved talking point to look like a supportive teammate. This was raw. This was real. This was a woman who's had enough of watching her teammate take the hits and the heat for a system that hasn't done its part. She even brought up the locker room dynamic, the inside jokes, the tweet Caitlin made after getting fined, the team laughing about it together. That's not dysfunction. That's chemistry. But the outside world, they want drama. They want a rift. They want tension between Mitchell and Clark, between Boston and Clark, between everyone who didn't get the cameras and the one who did. Too bad it doesn't exist. Because while the internet fights over whether Caitlin Clark deserves her spotlight, the Fever are fighting for each other. Mitchell even said she'd take a pay cut to keep this core intact. A pay cut. In a league where players already earn a fraction of what they deserve, that's not a small gesture. That's a statement. It says, this team means more to me than money. It says, what we're building here is bigger than any individual. It says, you might be setting us up out there, but in here, we've got each other. That's what makes this moment so powerful. Mitchell didn't just protect Caitlin Clark. She redefined what leadership looks like in the modern WNBA. It's not about flashy quotes. It's not about going viral. It's about standing up for your people. It's about recognizing when something's wrong and saying it anyway, even if it costs you favor with the front office. And now that the quote is out there, there's no going back. The question isn't whether the league set Caitlin up. It's, what are they going to do about it now that we all know? Will they step in and support their biggest star, not just with tweets and campaigns, but with real protection? Will they recognize the fever for what they are, a cultural reset in progress, and nurture that dynamic instead of exploiting it? Or will they keep playing the short-term game? If they're smart, they'll listen to Kelsey Mitchell, because she's not asking for credit. She's asking for change. And let's be honest, if this league really wants to grow, it's not going to be through PR spin and highlight reels alone. It's going to be through players like her. The ones who speak when it's hard. The ones who lead with honesty. The ones who understand that success isn't built in a boardroom. It's built in the locker room. So now it's your turn. What do you think? Did Kelsey Mitchell just say what every other player's been thinking? Is Caitlin Clark the victim of league mismanagement? Or are we all finally seeing the real story? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe for more unfiltered coverage of the WNBA's wildest moments, realest voices, and most unexpected truths. Because one thing's for sure, Kelsey Mitchell didn't just protect her teammate. She protected the future of this league. And the rest of us? We're just catching up. At this point, it's not just about Kelsey Mitchell or even Caitlin Clark. It's about a system being held together by tape, tweets, and timeouts. One that's finally being called out from within. And the person doing it isn't some rogue agent or retired legend with nothing to lose. It's Kelsey Mitchell, a starter, a leader, a day-one franchise player who chose loyalty over limelight and truth over comfort. And now, the league has a problem. Because when someone like Kelsey decides to speak out, you can't spin it away. You can't file it under media misunderstanding. You have to answer for it. Because she's not speculating. She's lived it. She's played in the shadow of empty stands. She's watched the WNBA treat its stars like chess pieces, moving them around the board depending on what the sponsors want. She's seen what happens when a player becomes too big, too fast, and how quickly that celebration turns into targeting. And with Caitlin Clark, that's exactly what happened. Let's not sugarcoat it. Caitlin didn't just arrive in the league. She was dropped into it with a spotlight the size of an arena. Every move analyzed. Every foul dissected. Every tweet turned into a referendum on race, gender, and basketball culture. And while the media cashed in on every headline she generated, where was the league when it mattered? Where were they when she was taking body checks with no calls? Where were they when she was thrown into a firestorm of controversy over things she didn't even say? Where was anyone? Oh, right, Kelsey Mitchell was there. And that's what makes this story different. Because it's not just about poor Caitlin or evil league. It's about a team of women, one of whom had the clarity and courage to say, this isn't right, and we're not going to pretend it is. Kelsey isn't speaking from resentment. She's speaking from experience. From watching the WNBA mismanage momentum time and time again. From watching players get scapegoated to keep narratives clean. From seeing the system chew up promising stories just to spit out drama that trends for a day. She knows what real growth looks like. And this ain't it. She also knows what real chemistry looks like. And that's why this team, this fever roster, feels like more than just a rebuild. It feels like a movement. It's not just Clark's scoring or Boston's presence or Hull's hustle or Mitchell's leadership. It's the way they move together, the way they answer questions for each other, laugh with each other, protect each other. This team isn't a media creation. It's the opposite. It's a product of pain, patience, and perseverance. It's a squad that chose each other in the middle of a storm. And while the league is busy chasing viral clips, the Fever are chasing something much harder to capture on camera. Trust. That's what Kelsey was really talking about in her interview. Not just Caitlin's setup, but the disconnect between what the league says it values and what it actually supports. They say they want star power, but when one arrives fully formed, they panic. They say they want growth, but when a team starts to gel organically, they try to chop it into marketable sound bites. They say they want unity, but they play favorites, and everyone in the league feels it. Kelsey Mitchell had every reason to keep her head down and let the league fumble its way through another PR nightmare. But she didn't. She stood up. She spoke up. Because she's playing the long game. This isn't just about protecting Caitlin Clark from haters. It's about protecting the culture from imploding under the weight of its own hypocrisy. Kelsey sees what's coming. She knows that if the Fever can keep this core together, if the league doesn't tear it apart with egos and politics, they're going to be unstoppable. Not just on the court, but in the culture. They're redefining what a team looks like in 2025. Not a superstar and her supporting cast, but a circle. Everyone with a voice. Everyone with a role. Everyone with a say. That's why she said she'd take a pay cut. Not for publicity. Not for clout. But because she sees what's possible when nobody gets left behind. And maybe, just maybe, she's also sending a message to the front office. Don't get cute. Don't start making trades for headlines. Don't start stirring up internal competition. Don't touch this. Let it cook. Because if you do, you won't just have a winning team. You'll have a dynasty. Built not on cap space or short-term contracts, but on trust, loyalty, and shared vision. And right now, that's the one thing the league doesn't know how to market because it can't manufacture it. So what now? Where do we go after a moment like this? Well, for starters, the league needs to respond. Not with a press release. Not with a feature piece on how much we love our players. But with real action. Fix the officiating. Protect the players. All of them. Stop letting narratives divide locker rooms that aren't divided. Invest in team culture, not just player branding. And above all, start listening to your veterans. The ones who've been here, who've stayed, who've suffered, and who are finally speaking. Because if Kelsey Mitchell hadn't said it, you better believe it still would have boiled over. She just did it with grace, clarity, and care. She didn't just protect Caitlin Clark. She protected what women's basketball could be if people would get out of the way and let it grow. That's leadership. That's legacy. That's Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell didn't just speak into a mic. She spoke into a megaphone straight from the soul of the WNBA, and suddenly everyone, from fans to front offices, is scrambling to catch up. This wasn't a headline. This wasn't a rumor. This wasn't a moment. It was a shift. A veteran who's been through everything, who has every right to be jaded or distant or detached, stepped forward and said, "We're not going to let this league chew Caitlin Clark up and spit her out." And just like that, Kelsey Mitchell became something the WNBA didn't even realize it needed. A protector of culture. Because this goes way beyond the box score. This isn't about a missed foul, or a media spat, or some viral Twitter beef. This is about how we treat our women when they get too powerful, too visible, or too good at what they do. Let's call it what it is. Caitlin Clark is a generational force. She didn't stumble into fame. She earned it. She rewrote history, turned Iowa into a national spectacle, and brought eyeballs to women's basketball that had never looked twice before. And the second she walked into the WNBA, the league threw her into the deep end and said swim. Meanwhile, players were taking their shots, literally and figuratively. The media was feeding narratives, hunting for friction in the Fever locker room. Fans were splitting into factions, Team Clark, Team everyone else. And the league? Silent. Until now. Because Kelsey Mitchell just broke that silence. And suddenly, it's impossible not to see the bigger picture. She didn't accuse. She didn't attack. She didn't make it about herself. She said, "We're building something here, and the league better respect it." That wasn't just about Clark. That was about all of them. About Aaliyah Boston, who's been dominant from day one, but still somehow gets overlooked. About Lexi Hull, who scraps and hustles and doesn't make a single excuse. About Grace Berger, who's been grinding in the shadows while everyone else chases the light. And yes, about herself. Because Kelsey Mitchell has been that girl for Indiana since she got drafted. Through losing seasons, through irrelevance, through years of nobody watching, nobody asking, nobody caring. And now that the cameras are finally on, she's not going to let them rewrite the story. That's the part people keep missing. Kelsey's not bitter about Caitlyn's spotlight. She's grateful for it. She sees the gift. She sees the potential. She sees the way this team could go from afterthoughts to legends. But only if the league stops sabotaging the moment. She knows how this goes. We've all seen it. Build someone up. Make them a face. Sell them like a product. Then the second the backlash starts, fall back. Let them take the hits. Let the locker room carry the tension. Let the narrative spin out of control. But this time, Kelsey's not letting it happen. She said, they set her up. Not out of pity. Not out of politics. Out of clarity. Out of watching it unfold in real time. On the floor, on the flights, in the media, behind the scenes. And honestly, she's right. You can feel it in the air. The way fans are starting to ask better questions. The way players are starting to post a little more carefully. The way reporters are leaning in, wondering, wait, what else are we not seeing? Because the truth is, this league has always walked a tightrope. It wants to be progressive, but still controls the narratives. It wants stars, but doesn't know how to protect them. It wants rivalries, but gets uncomfortable when things get too real. It celebrates authenticity until it stops being convenient. And Kelsey Mitchell, she's tired of the performance. She's saying, this team is real. This chemistry is real. This love is real. And if you can't see it, maybe the problem isn't with us. It's with you. And here's what's wild. She wasn't even trying to go viral. That interview wasn't a media stunt. It wasn't calculated. It was just a woman being honest because someone had to be. Because Clark sure as hell couldn't say it. Not without being labeled entitled or dramatic. Because Boston couldn't say it. Not without being turned into a jealous co-star. Because Lexi couldn't say it. Not without being accused of riding coattails. So Kelsey took the mic. And in doing so, she took control. She became the bridge. Between eras. Between narratives. Between chaos and clarity. And the message was loud and clear. You will not destroy this from the inside out. Not this time. Not this team. If the league's paying attention, they'll recognize this moment for what it is. Not a controversy. A blueprint. Because what the Fever are building isn't just a playoff run. It's a model for how to survive in this league without selling your soul. They're doing it with trust, with sacrifice, with players who are willing to take less money, fewer touches, fewer headlines, if it means winning together. And that's something the league can't manufacture. It's not PR. It's not branding. It's real. So let me leave you with this. Kelsey Mitchell just gave the WNBA its most important wake-up call in years. And now, all eyes are on the league. Kelsey Mitchell may have delivered her words softly, but make no mistake, it was a direct hit. Not just on how the league treats Caitlin Clark, but on how it has historically failed to support the very women who keep it alive. And the fans? We heard her loud and clear. Because whether you're ride or die for Caitlin, a long-time Kelsey Mitchell stan, or just here for the Fever's slow-burn dynasty arc, you feel what she said. Deep down, we all knew something wasn't right. We've watched it unfold. The physicality, the bias, the weird silences, the marketing push without the support. We knew it was a setup. Kelsey just confirmed it. And that matters. Not just because it vindicates every confused fan and frustrated viewer, but because it sets a precedent. If you hurt one of us, you answer to all of us. This isn't just about stars. It's about structure. It's about protecting each other. It's about telling the league, we see how you move, and we won't let you divide us for the sake of engagement. They try to frame it like a rivalry. Like Caitlyn was too popular, too mainstream, too privileged. Like her rise came at the cost of others. But Kelsey Mitchell, she blew that lie to pieces. She said, I'm for her, and I'm for us. She chose solidarity over soundbite, unity over division, truth over agenda. And in doing so, she modeled something the league desperately needs. A new kind of leadership, not the one that shakes hands on media day and disappears when it gets messy. Not the one that plays politics in post games, but the one that protects, connects, and builds. That's what Kelsey did. And now, there's no going back. Because you can't unhear a statement like, they set her up, You can't unsee what's happening. You can't unfeel the shift. So to the league, the time for performative allyship is over. If you want to grow, evolve, and be taken seriously, not just by fans, but by your own players, you better fix the cracks before this house falls down. And to everyone else, especially the fans who show up game after game, screaming louder than the narratives, stay loud, stay watching, stay asking questions, because the players are finally speaking. And Kelsey Mitchell, she just said everything.